Hey Rangers fans, we are here today with Tyler Wall, who just signed with the Rangers a couple of weeks ago out of UMass Lowell. So first off, Tyler, congrats on the signing. Just how exciting is it to finally be making this step in your career?
Yeah, it's really exciting for me. Obviously, it's something I've been working towards for pretty much my whole life. So to finally get here and get my foot in the door is really special.
So tell us a little bit about just how the last couple of months have been for you, finishing up school online, trying to train, trying to stay in shape despite probably everything that you're used to using being closed. Just how has that been for you?
Yeah, it's been pretty weird. Obviously, like the hardest part for me was probably like finishing up my classes, like doing everything online, just like talking to professors and stuff. If I need help, like can't really like go to their office hours or whatever like I would usually do. So that part was a little bit difficult. Training hasn't been that bad. Worked out pretty convenient that my brother got like a little home gym set up in the basement for Christmas this year, so it was kind of perfect timing. So I've
Nice.
just been like working out with him, going on runs and stuff like that, just to keep me busy and whatnot. So it hasn't been too bad.
Awesome. All right. Our fan Chris H is starting us off with a very important question. He wants to know, did your last name have any effect on you choosing the goalie position when you started to play hockey?
No, it sort of worked out conveniently, but when I first started playing, I wanted to be a player. So I mean, it wasn't like I got to be a goalie, but I mean, it definitely worked out pretty good that I am now.
Someone called I Like the Yankees wants to know, are you a brick wall?
I hope to be.
Awesome. Okay, Joe wants to know, so obviously your season at Lowell got cut a little short because of the pandemic. So can you kind of just talk us through some of the emotions that you had as a senior, knowing, you weren't going to get that last shot at an NCAA title because of this? Just how did you kind of cope with having that maybe taken away?
Yeah, it was really weird, sort of that whole week. Like we finished up our last game of playoffs or our last game of the regular season, and then we were like gearing up for playoffs, and that's when everything started to sort of get bad. And we were like expecting to play with no fans, and then the night before the game, we like get called to the rink, and we're like, okay, like the season's canceled type of thing. So like me, I was like living with the two other seniors on the team. So I guess just talking it out with them, like hanging out the next couple days with the team before we all headed home, was I guess the best way to cope for me. But obviously, really disappointing.
Good stuff. Okay, on to a little bit more happy topics here. Pat wants to know if you had the option to be quarantined with any teammate, who would it be? And let's go with a teammate from one of the development camps that you've attended.
Um, Probably Barron. I think over the last couple of years, both being college hockey guys, both being the same age, I've made pretty good friends with him. So I think he'd be a fun guy to, hang around with and be stuck with. Although I think being quarantined with anybody, you'd probably get sick of him after a few weeks.
Probably right about that. Okay, Daniel wants to know, how do you feel coming into a system that's produced so many good goalies, just knowing the history that they've had with goalies succeeding and now you coming in and ostensibly being in a pretty good position here to succeed?
Yeah, it's a huge honor for me just to be even drafted and then signed by them. I think Benoit there probably has a huge effect on the success of all the goalies in the Rangers organization. So getting a chance to work with him is something that I'm really looking forward to, and hopefully I can have as much success as some of the guys that have come before me.
Okay, Katie wants to know, what is your favorite game that you've ever been to? And she also adds, welcome to the Rangers.
um, like that I've played in or I've watched.
I think probably that you've watched as a fan.
I think probably my first ever like live NHL game. It was like Detroit versus the Oilers, and back then they had Dwayne Rolson, and I don't know, he was like a pretty good goalie in the league at the time, and I didn't know it then, but he was like a UMass Lowell graduate too, so it was pretty cool, and it went to a shootout, which when I was younger was one of the things I always looked forward to in like an NHL game. So that was a pretty special first NHL game for me.
Do you still have the same feelings about shootouts now as a goalie?
Yeah, believe it or not, I actually kind of enjoy the shootout, just being able to do the one-on-one with a player. I know for college, we just have sort of the 5-on-5 overtime, and then it like ends in a tie, which has
Mhm.
always kind of bugged me. I feel like a tie is almost just as bad as a loss, but yeah, I definitely always looked forward to getting some closure at the end of the game and looking forward to doing some 3-on-3 overtime in the future.
Awesome. Okay, Sophia wants to know, what was your favorite team growing up?
Definitely the Leafs. I think pretty much every young kid growing up pretty much picks the team that's closest to them. And being from Ontario, and my dad being a Leafs fan, it just kind of fell naturally. I'd like to say the Rangers, but I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was a big Leafs fan growing up.
Okay, someone with the handle Panarin Bread Co. wants to know, what is your favorite moment that you can recall from your college career?
My freshman year winning Hockey East, that was a really special moment for us. It was at TD Garden in Boston, and like our fans came and packed the place, so it was really loud and I don't know, really exciting. We were playing against BC, and for me as a freshman, I was just trying to take everything in, just go like play in the moment, and so just winning that game and all the excitement and everything that ensued after was really special.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your decision to commit to UMass Lowell. Can you kind of talk us through your experience in junior and kind of the mentality that you took into college? Obviously, you're a lot more well known now than you were then, and you've kind of built your resume over the years. But just what was kind of your goal going into college there?
Well, when I was playing in juniors, I was actually playing for my hometown team, and weirdly enough, the goalie coach at UMass Lowell at the time was Cameron Ellsworth, who was also from Leamington. So he was kind of the one that recruited me. And knowing the history, like with Connor Hellebuck, Dwayne Rolson, Kevin Boyle, like some of the guys that came before me, it was sort of an easy decision to go there. And like going into college, I didn't really know what to expect. Obviously, an Ontario boy, like sort of knew what the OHL was all about, but not as much
Mm-hmm.
about college hockey. So I just kind of went with my eyes wide open, ready to work hard and just sort of hope for the best. And everything seemed to work out. So,
Okay, this is a really good question from Steven. After you give up a goal, what's the kind of the routine that you go through to reset yourself?
always just take a deep breath, skate to the corner, come back to the net. I try to show like the least amount of emotion as possible. I find that the goalies that are always like put their head up and look like they're defeated, it's like kind of gives the like opposing team some ammunition. Like we got this guy, so I just try to play it off like it doesn't affect me at all.
Cool. Okay, from Nikki, which player did you look up to growing up?
When I was younger, it was definitely Ed Belfour. I liked his like helmet, his pads, like everything. He was the Leafs goalie at the time, so that was like my first sort of goalie idol. As I grew older and he retired and stuff, there were other guys that I looked up to. Like I looked up to Lundqvist for a while, like Carey Price, just different guys in the NHL that I saw were having success as I was like growing up. But my first one was definitely Ed Belfour.
Okay, Kayla has two questions for you. The first one is, who is your favorite current Ranger?
I think the easy answer for a goalie is obviously Lundqvist. I think there's so much you can like learn from a guy like that who's been in the system for so long and had so much success. I think I would just love to pick his brain about some things.
Awesome. And her second question is, who was it that originally got you into hockey? I mean, I'm sure coming from Toronto area, that wasn't a crazy leap for you to get into hockey, but if you can remember, who was the person that got you into it?
Um, I'm not really sure. Probably just like my dad just loved watching on TV, so it was sort of just growing up. Like a lot of my buddies were playing, so it was kind of just natural that I would like start playing. And I don't know if there's really one person I could say really got me into it, but just probably a combination of my friends and my family.
Cool. Okay, Juan wants to know what is the best part to you about being a goalie?
Um, I don't know. I like being a guy that can impact the game each and every night. I know it's like sometimes a lot of pressure on the goalie, but just being somebody who is like able to have such a large impact on the game every night is like pretty fun and um, yeah, I don't know.
Cool. Okay, Nick wants to know in all of your time in Hockey East, which building was the toughest one to play in?
Mm, that's a tough one. I would say toughest like game to win maybe BU because they were like a really strong team, but just toughest arena to be in maybe Merrimack just because a lot of times we would go there and there wouldn't be too many fans. It would be sort of low energy and you really tried to amp yourself up for the games. And sometimes it was hard to, keep your focus in like games that don't have as much intensity and pressure to them.
Awesome. Okay, and from Cassie, when you look ahead to the NHL level, um, is there a team that you're most excited to maybe play against someday?
Yeah, I think probably Detroit. It's the closest NHL team to me. I live like pretty close to across the border from Detroit, so I think I'd have like the most friends and family that would be able to come to that. So that would be a really special game for me to play in.
Awesome. And when you look ahead to what's next, whenever hockey comes back, whenever things kind of go back to close to normal, what's kind of your mindset going into your first pro season?
Yeah, just try to do whatever I can to help the team win. I don't need to sort of. I'm just trying to go with the flow, kind of. I don't really. I'll probably start in like Hartford or whatever, and just try to help that team win. That's the goalie's job, and I think that's all you can really ask for a goalie.
Awesome. And okay, this is our last question. As a goalie, what, if you can remember, is the best advice you've ever received?
Um, I think probably my first year when I was coming to the Rangers camp, I think Benoit Allaire mentioned something to me about that Hank said he only plays um, at 100% about like 20% of the time, and the rest of the time his like body doesn't feel like 100% or he's a little bit sick or something. So it just like makes you think like, there's going to be days that you don't really feel like 100%. Your body's a little sore. You're not as amped to play against a certain team, and you just got to keep fighting through it and just find a way to be consistent in every game.
It's good advice from Benny to close us out. Okay, Tyler, thank you so much for joining us. I know our fans will be hyped to hear your answers to them. And until we get to see you in person, just stay safe and stay well, and hopefully we will see you soon.
Yeah, right back at you. Thanks for having me on.